Hello everyone, what's up? Welcome to the third part of the team analysis video from FPL Camp. In this series, we shall be taking a look at every single Premier League team in FPL terms for the 2021-22 season. In this video, we shall cover 5 teams which are Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Newcastle and Norwich. Before we begin, I would like to say that if you enjoy the content, then please drop a like and comment on this video and share it among your friends. The support is invaluable. I have a lot of interesting content planned pre-season and throughout the season as well. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you find the channel interesting. Hit the bell icon so as not to miss out on any new video. Liverpool last season had a sharp fall from what we had seen the previous couple of years. The injury to the backline was a major reason behind this drop in form, along with the lack of crowds at Anfield. When they finally managed to have a stable backline towards the end of last season, they went on a strong run and qualified for the Champions League with players all across the pitch starting to find form. They underperformed their XG, lost clean sheets, but were still the most liveliest team in the Premier League, as shown by their goal involvement per 90, which was the best. In FPL terms, apart from Salah, most of the players were disappointment. The dynamic fullback duo finally found some form towards the end of last season, and both Mane and Firmino missed loads of chances, Mane in particular. Diogo Jota showed that he was a serious FPL asset, but he too had his share of injuries. Liverpool's fixtures are brilliant to start the season. In the first 6, they have just one red fixture on paper, and that is Chelsea at home. This makes a double up suggestible, if not a triple. Amongst the players, not much has changed in terms of FPL. Trent and Robertson are again great picks, and at least one of them ideally should be in your FPL team, preferably Trent. He picked up his form towards the end of last season, and with Liverpool expected to have a settled back line, I do expect the defense to perform at the level we are used to seeing. From the midfield, I think Salah is as close to essential as a player can get in FPL. I would strongly advise not to bet against him from personal experience. Mane had a downer last season, but with sufficient rest and a strong preseason behind him, I expect him to be back to his previous self. His price is a point of concern though, but the occasional double up can be a great differential. Diogo Jota's game time is the only point of concern. I do expect him to be rotated with Firmino and maybe with Mane as well, but we need to see to what extent. But at 7.5 million, he'll play a major role this season. The defending champions were quite goal shy as compared to the usual standards, but they ranked at the top for most of the underlying stats. A lot of the goal shyness can be placed upon early season rustiness and the continuous lack of a proper striker. At this point of time, they just have one recognized striker in Gabriel Jesus. So it will be quite interesting to see which Manchester City shall we see this season. The earlier versions which used to blow out teams, or the defensively focused City of last season. Ederson remains the best premium goalkeeper still, as shown by his 160 points. Ruben Dias was a revelation and raked up those 6 points continuously. Gundogan stepped up in the absence of KDB, and mid-season was the reason the team went on that amazing run and used the false 9 system to arrive at the box continuously and scoring. Gabriel Jesus was somehow the top point scoring forward for City. On paper, Manchester City's fixtures are not great, but like Leeds, I don't think that matters. They have the capability to defeat any team at any point of time. The problem is whom to pick from the Pep ruling. Ederson is the safest pick from the City defense. He is guaranteed to play week in, week out. Ruben Dias is perhaps the second most nailed-on player from their defense. Although the issue with him is that he rarely gives any attacking returns, and at 6 million, you expect that. John Stones at 5.5 million is a better pick, although a more risky one in my opinion, because he carries some goal threats from set pieces, but he will be prone to rotation. I think he starts the season ahead of Laporte, but nothing can be said about Pep. From the midfield, the only nailed on player is Kevin De Bruyne. If Kane does move to Manchester City, then I no doubt he will break the 20 assist record set by Ori. Uh, I'm avoiding Sterling due to his price of 11 million and his serious drop in form last season. Instead, I have my eyes on two other midfielders who are much cheaper than Raheem Sterling. Both Foden and Mahrez are capable of those explosive returns, but they always fall victim to Pep Roulette, leaving them benched when you least expect it. So if you're picking them, then be ready to suffer in that regard. And when we are paying that amount of money, like 8 to 9 million, you expect not to have that headache of sudden benching. Of the difficulties. Ferran Torres at 7 million is a really big differential. Pep has been hinting that he might be played as a striker if they do not get Kane, and in case that happens, he can be an explosive differential, as we have seen from last season. But for me, he's a definite wait and watch unless we see it consistently during the preseason games, or we hear something from the press conferences. Gundogan at 7.5 million is another wait and watch from my side because I'm unsure if he will continue that goal scoring form he showed last season. For Sterling's case, the problem is his price point. Because if you can just manage 1 million more, then you will get KDB, who is a more stable pick. So it would need some serious performances from him to being back to a major FPL pick this season. Manchester United, the runner-up of last season in the Premier League. They had decent underlying stats attacking wise, but defensively were let downs in FPL, with them actually underperforming their expected goals against and losing many potential clean sheets. From the players' perspective, the dicey keeper situation was and still remains a major problem. Who starts, Henderson or David De Gea? It's a question to which we do not know the answer as of yet, and that is really a downer for us because both are priced at a reasonable 5 million. In defense, even though Shaw provided better underlying stats, it was actually Wan-Bissaka who raked in those bonuses and was the highest scoring defender. Bruno Fernandes was the highest scoring FPL player last season, and he still remains the main man for that team. He was a creator-in-chief and was continuously getting those penalties to get those monstrous hauls. But does that remain the case with Jadon Sancho coming in now, who might share some of the creative burden with him? A major captaincy choice Bruno has become for now, competing with the likes of Mo Salah and Harry Kane and Kevin De Bruyne week in week out. Edinson Cavani showed his class and had 10 goals and 4 assists, playing just 1,364 minutes. Manchester United's fixtures are pretty decent till game week 6. The games against Leeds and Southampton have goals written in them if last season is anything to go by, where Manchester United scored 18 goals across the 4 matches. Amongst the players, the goalkeeping dilemma is something which we already talked about, and this I would personally like to avoid. Luke Shaw had tremendous underlying numbers last season and had a very good Euro 2020 as well, and is touted to continue his form into the new season. It is however rumored that he is injured and may miss the initial game weeks, so that news is something to keep an eye on. His other fullback partner, Wan-Bissaka, is a decent pick as well, but his attacking potential is limited as compared to Shaw, but he does tend to collect a lot of bonus points. So if you're looking for a way into the Manchester United defense, then Wan-Bissaka remains the second best option after Luke Shaw. From the midfield, Bruno Fernandes is a standout pick due to the fixtures and him being the man on the penalties, which United tends to get a lot of. Jadon Sancho at 9.5 million has the potential to make a mockery of that price, but like for any new player, I would rather wait and watch before jumping on him. Plus he was part of the England team that went to the final of the Euros, and that makes his participation in game week 1 a bit of a doubt. It is important to know that if you go with Bruno now, then 2 game weeks in, if you feel that Sancho is the better pick, then you can easily downgrade from Bruno to Sancho. But the reverse is difficult, because you have to arrange for the funds in that case. Marcus Rashford is set to undergo surgery, which will rule him out for the initial part of the season. So again, I mean that's a news we should keep an eye on. And anyway, I feel at 9.5, I feel that Sancho will be a better pick than Rashford. Uh, there's a feel that this means Greenwood will definitely play a lot more, but I mean again he will be prone to rotation with possibly Paul Pogba in that position, whom we have seen play on the left wing a few number of times, and also with Anthony Martial, who is back fit. So yeah, so Greenwood is again something which is a bit of a risk at the start of the season and not really worth going into. Up front, I really like Edinson Cavani. I think till the European and the Champions League starts, I think he'll start as the main striker in the team. And yeah, I mean down the line, obviously he'll be rotated a lot because we can't expect him to play 2 or 3 games in a week. But right now, at the start of the season, when he just has to play one game in a week, I think he will remain the first choice striker. Um, it's a pity that he is not on penalties, and also it's important to see when he'll be subbed off. So there's a chance that he'll be subbed off at maybe the 70 minutes, 75 minutes, which really does put a downer on his pick. So yeah, I mean, but he remains perhaps the best striker technically at that price point if you compare to the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin or maybe even Bamford or the other 7.5 million strikers that we have. He has already shown that last season that he's still a very capable finisher. So yeah, I mean for the initial few game weeks, I am banking on him to be a very good pick. Newcastle had an unremarkable season with them just surviving. Joe Willock during the later part of the season was a major reason for that, that they didn't go into the championship. And new signing Callum Wilson started the season brilliantly. He won a lot of penalties, scored a lot of goals during that initial 6 to 7 game weeks run. Constant injuries to key players, including Callum Wilson, Alan Saint-Maximin, and their main defender Jamal Lascelles, meant that they posted very poor underlying stats, never really settling into a rhythm. I hope I pronounced the name of Lascelles correctly. If not, then apologies for that. And yeah, I mean, even FPL wise, none of the players apart from Callum Wilson had a season worth mentioning. Newcastle's fixtures are decent, but it is very hard to identify any good FPL option to start with other than Callum Wilson, who will be on penalties. It seems that Martin Dubravka is injured, which means that Darlow should start the season, but he is by no means the first choice, as we saw last year. So when Dubravka is back, then I expect him to be the first choice. So picking Darlow at 5 million, or I think he's priced at 4.5, really doesn't make much sense. I would avoid picking any Newcastle defender because their defensive stats is also really poor. In midfield, if Joe Willock does make the move to Newcastle permanent, then he's a decent option. And apart from that, I think Almiron can be an option, but yeah, I mean it will be an extremely risky pick because it's really hard to see what kind of form he will be in. As stated earlier, I think Callum Wilson I have already talked about. He is the focal point of the Newcastle attack, and most of their goals will have him playing some role. I think he had a 51% involvement in last season's all the goals that Newcastle scored in the Premier League. I read this stat somewhere, and I'm sure that it is somewhere close to that, if not 51% at least. A lot will depend on the fitness of Alan Saint-Maximin, who is priced as a forward this year. So he's priced at 6.5 million and can possibly be a replacement for Tony, who many people have in their team right now. So like when Tony's fixtures turn for the worse, then Alan Saint-Maximin can probably be an alternate option if you want a direct switch. So Norwich are the championship winners from last season. They have great underlying stats where they were first for expected goals, first for shots on target per 90 minutes, as well as they had the highest number of penalties. They scored the second most goals. Their defensive record is not that great, wherein they had just the fourth most clean sheets. So I'm not expecting too many clean sheets from them this season in the Premier League as well, unless of course something miraculous happens and they end up having a ridiculous defensive organization. What is interesting to note is that unlike Brentford, who are all about attack and score goals, Norwich tended to have a very much of a ball retention strategy, where they tended to hog the ball a lot more time, keep it, passing it amongst the players, and then look for those openings. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform in the Premier League. Norwich have a disastrous set of opening fixtures. They face Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal, and Leicester in the first four games, and then also face Everton in the sixth. I do not think anyone would pick a Norwich player in the starting 11 in FPL, at least during the start of the season, based on these fixtures. But yeah, I do have some players on my watch list. In the goalkeeping position, we have Tim Krul at 4.5 million, who can probably be an option during the second half of the season. If you find that Norwich have some solid defensive form. Max Aarons is their most attacking fullback, so he might have some chances of getting some attacking contributions, but last year's championship stats don't really suggest too much from him. The selling of Emi Buendia means that they will now miss the star player. So Buendia was the main reason why Norwich won the championship last year, and Cantwell will have to carry most of that creative burden. So I think they have made a couple of new signings as well in that position. I'm still unsure of that. Timo Pukki will need to have a long party this season, and we all remember the start he had 2 years back, where he was the craze of FPL, and I think he fired for around 4 to 5 game weeks, and then Norwich just tailed off post that. He's priced at 6 million. So, and similar to Allinson Maximin, I think he can be a direct replacement for Tony down the line. I think it's game week 7 where Brentford's fixtures take a turn for the worse and Norwich's actually take a turn for the better. So Timo Pukki is someone who is definitely in consideration.